Paris had always been admired as the picture of grace and devotion, a woman whose elegance and quiet determination made her the heart of every gathering. In the eyes of her community, she was the epitome of marital bliss. At home, in a charming suburban house, she lived with her husband Henry, a successful architect known for his calm and steady manner. Yet beneath the smile and the comfortable routine, an undercurrent of loneliness pulsed relentlessly through Paris's soul. For years, the marriage had been defined by gentle affection and shared routines. But lately, something had shifted. Henry's once attentive eyes had grown distant. His late nights at the office and hushed phone conversations left an unsettling silence at home. Paris couldn't help but notice the faraway look in his gaze, the way his smiles were now fleeting relics of happier times. Have you ever sensed that something invaluable was slowly slipping away, even when everything on the surface appeared just right? On one restless evening, a night when the heart aches for something beyond the ordinary, Paris attended a small art exhibition downtown. As an accomplished artist herself, these events had always stirred in her both creative passion and a tinge of envy for the intensity others poured into their lives. That fateful night, under the soft glow of the gallery lights and the murmur of admiring voices, Paris's eyes met those of a stranger who seemed to be captivated not just by her artwork, but by her very presence. His name was Gabriel. Where Henry's demeanor was measured and predictable, Gabriel exuded a wild vitality that was impossible to ignore. Tall, with a hint of roguish charm, and eyes sparkling with mischief and mystery, he approached Paris with a warm smile. "You've captured something raw and beautiful in your work," Gabriel said in a low, inviting tone. "I can see the passion beneath every brushstroke." In that utter moment, Paris felt a spark, an ember of longing that she had long since buried under the weight of routine. In Gabriel's gaze, she recognized not only a flirtation with danger, but also the promise of liberation from the constraints of her everyday life. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, and before long, the boundaries of propriety began to blur. Days turned into weeks, and Paris found herself living two lives. By day, the devoted wife at her comfortable home with Henry, and by night, a woman awakened to a dangerous new passion with Gabriel. Their clandestine meetings were charged with both desire and guilt, each whispered word and secret smile a defiant act against a life that had grown too predictable. Yet with every stolen kiss, Paris was tormented by thoughts of Henry, his gentle eyes, and the promises they had once cherished. Could the rush of forbidden love ever truly replace the security and warmth of a familiar embrace? Would following the lure of passion ultimately unearth the woman she once was, or would it shatter the delicate balance of her carefully built life? Late one autumn evening, as a chill wind signaled the approach of winter, Paris's phone buzzed with an urgent message from Gabriel. The text hinted at a secret rendezvous that would push the limits of their hidden affair. Her heart pounded with a heady mix of anticipation and dread. As she prepared for what she sensed would be a defining moment, memories of Henry's compassionate face mingled with the intoxicating spark of rebellion that Gabriel ignited in her, raising one desperate question. Was this a reclaiming of a forgotten passion, or a desperate plunge into inevitable downfall? Meanwhile, Henry's intuition was awakening. The subtle changes in Paris's demeanor, the distracted glances, the distant look in her eyes, had not escaped him. That evening, driven by a nagging worry he couldn't ignore, Henry decided to return home earlier than usual. He never imagined that this one choice would set in motion events that would forever change the course of their lives. That fateful night, the atmosphere at home was thick with unspoken tension. Paris had just ended a hushed conversation on her phone, a brief moment when the thrill of Gabriel's presence still pulsed in her veins. When the front door swung open unexpectedly, a chill ran up her spine as she realized that Henry was home ahead of schedule. "Paris?" Henry's gentle voice, laced with concern, echoed from the hallway. In an instant, Paris's heart raced. She scrambled to hide the evidence of her illicit call and attempted to conceal the tremor of anxiety in her smile as she greeted him. "Henry, you're home early," she managed, her voice betraying more unease than joy. Henry, though trying to maintain composure, couldn't hide the puzzled look on his face. "Yes, I wrapped up at the office a bit sooner tonight," he replied softly, his tone calm, yet carrying an undercurrent of mounting suspicion. Inside the living room, every ticking second amplified Paris's dread. Did Henry already sense the secret that threatened to unravel their carefully constructed life? Before long, a sudden chime of the doorbell shattered the fragile calm. Henry exchanged a bewildered glance with Paris as he moved to answer it. At that charged moment, every secret Paris had fought so hard to keep hidden teetered on the edge of revelation. The door swung open to reveal Gabriel, standing in the muted glow of the porch light. His mischievous, tender smile sent a jolt of shock through Paris. "Good evening, Paris," he greeted in a voice as smooth as silk. His eyes seemed to challenge fate itself. Henry's gaze snapped from Gabriel to Paris. In that heartbeat, the living room was suffused with a tangible, dangerous tension, a collision of two worlds. "Gabriel?" Henry's voice trembled with disbelief and hurt. The single word hung in the air like a death knell, shattering any remnants of feigned normalcy. For a suspended moment, Paris stood frozen at the threshold, feeling the crushing weight of her betrayal. The perfectly maintained facade of her double life crumbled in a rush of raw emotion. Henry's eyes searched Paris's face for denial or remorse, but the truth lay bare. An unbearable mix of love, betrayal, and guilt filled the space between them. Henry's voice wavered as he demanded, "Paris, what is this? How could you?" In that charged silence, Paris's mind raced. Torn between the comforting memories of Henry and the irresistible pull of Gabriel's passion, her voice came out as a fragile whisper. "It's not what it looks like." Even as the words tried to hold back the truth, it resonated loudly with the inevitability of betrayal. The fallout was immediate and merciless. Henry's face darkened with the realization that the love he'd known was built on a foundation of secrets. For Paris, guilt became an unrelenting storm. In the days that followed, the remnants of their shared life splintered into sharp shards of regret. Henry alternated between desperate attempts to salvage what remained and a growing determination to reclaim his wounded dignity. Every corner of their home echoed with memories of a happier past, now marred by distrust. Paris, in private moments of solitude, was haunted by the duality of her existence. The clandestine passion with Gabriel, which had once symbolized liberation, now reminded her daily of the betrayal against the security and love Henry had provided. As dawn broke and soft light filtered through the window, she would gaze out, wondering if the woman she had been was forever lost. Could the warmth of trust and love ever be reclaimed from the ruins of deceit? Desperate for answers, Paris poured her heart into a handwritten letter one bitter winter afternoon. With trembling resolve, she confessed, "My dearest Henry, I write these words burdened by the weight of my mistakes. In seeking a passion I believed was lost, I betrayed the very essence of our love. I do not offer this confession as a plea for forgiveness, but as an honest admission of my inner turmoil. I stand torn between the comfort of what we had and a dangerous allure that promised escape. Yet with every passing moment, I am left more imprisoned by my own guilt." The letter was both an exploration of her fractured self and an appeal to the shared past that had once united them. Henry, upon reading it in the quiet solitude of their study, was struck by a profound mixture of sorrow and dawning understanding. The man who had once known every contour of Paris's heart now began to see her as a complex soul, shaped by long-suppressed desires and unmet needs. In the tentative conversations that followed, Henry and Paris embarked on a slow, painful journey toward healing. Their discussions were filled with long silences, tearful admissions, and a shared determination to face the wreckage of their past. Each vulnerable confession was both a plea for forgiveness and an attempt to redefine their relationship in light of harsh truths. Now, dear listener, pause and reflect. If you found yourself caught between the safety of a familiar love and the dangerous call of an unrestrained passion, what would you do? Have you ever stood at a crossroads where every choice felt both liberating and catastrophic? Share your thoughts and your experiences in the comments below. Your perspective might resonate with others facing similar moral dilemmas. As winter slowly thawed into the tentative warmth of early spring, Henry and Paris began to rebuild their lives, not by erasing the past, but by confronting it with honesty and vulnerability. They learned that true healing required not the perfection of days gone by, but the courage to live with the scars while daring to dream of a more sincere future together. In each hesitant conversation, every tearful remembrance, and the quiet moments of introspection, they discovered that love can evolve even in the aftermath of betrayal. The journey ahead was uncertain, and the wounds would not vanish overnight. But in the raw truth of their shared vulnerability, there lay the promise of transformation, a promise that every shattered piece of the past could one day be integrated into a richer, more authentic whole. Thank you for joining us on this journey through desire, betrayal, and the arduous path to redemption. We invite you to share your insights, your personal reflections, and even your own stories in the comments below. Every voice matters, and together our conversation can illuminate the intricate tapestry of human emotions.